Have you ever walked past a place so quiet, so still, that it feels like the walls themselves are holding their breath? Now imagine a train station, once bustling with life, laughter, and the rumble of locomotives, now silent, decaying, and abandoned. But the eeriest part. Some say the spirits of the past never left. In these forgotten stations, footsteps echo in empty halls, whispers drift through shattered windows, and shadows move where no one stands. Tonight, we're uncovering the top 10 abandoned train stations with haunted histories. Places where the line between the living and the dead feels thinner than ever. Step carefully because some doors, once opened, should never be closed again. Centralia Train Station, Pennsylvania, USA. The story of Centralia is a chilling reminder of how quickly a thriving town can turn into a ghost town, and its abandoned train station is the beating heart of that desolation. Centralia was once a bustling mining town in Pennsylvania, home to families, schools, and a small train station that linked the town to the outside world. Trains would arrive daily, delivering workers to the mines and children to school, carrying goods and visitors into the heart of a community that seemed to have a future. But beneath the surface, an invisible threat was growing, an underground coal fire that started in 1962 and would burn for decades. By the late 1970s, the fire had spread beneath the town, producing smoke and deadly gases, making it uninhabitable. Homes were abandoned, streets cracked and warped by heat, and the town slowly emptied. The train station, once a symbol of connection and progress, became a silent monument to a town frozen in time. Visitors report an uncanny feeling when walking through the station. The wooden benches are rotting, the ticket counters are covered in dust, and the tracks lead nowhere. Yet, those who linger tell of whispers echoing in the empty halls, footsteps on the creaking floors, and the faint whistle of a train that never arrives. Locals who remain in the outskirts speak of seeing shadowy figures moving along the tracks at night, seemingly unaware that the town has been abandoned for decades. Some believe these are the spirits of miners and townspeople trapped by the fire, eternally returning to the station to catch a train that no longer exists. Geologists confirm the area is unstable, and the eerie plumes of smoke rising from the coal fire create visual distortions that make the shadows appear even more lifelike. The station stands as a haunting reminder that not all disasters are immediate. Some creep silently beneath the ground, claiming lives and leaving spirits behind. The Centralia train station has become a magnet for urban explorers, paranormal enthusiasts, and those drawn to the mucker. Nighttime visits are the most unnerving. Cameras often capture unexplained orbs, lights, and moving shadows, while audio equipment records faint, distorted voices that sound eerily human. Scientists, skeptics, and ghost hunters continue to debate whether these phenomena are real, a product of natural gases interacting with equipment, or the cries of restless spirits. Whatever the explanation, stepping inside this abandoned station feels like walking through the thin veil separating the living world from the restless dead. Waverly Hills Sanatorium Station, Kentucky, USA. Though Waverly Hills is famous for its sanatorium and tragic history, its associated train station adds another layer to the town's haunted narrative. In the early 20th century, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium train station was the arrival point for countless families, staff, and supplies, serving the sprawling tuberculosis hospital built in the hills of Louisville, Kentucky. During the height of the tuberculosis epidemic, the train station witnessed hundreds of patients arriving in desperation, many of them never leaving alive. The station became a threshold between life and death, the last stop for those entering a place where hope and despair existed side by side. After the sanatorium closed in 1961, the train station fell into disuse, eventually abandoned and left to decay. The once busy platform became overgrown with weeds, and the tracks rusted into stillness. Locals say the air around the station feels unnaturally cold, even during summer months, and that strange, mournful sounds echo through the empty halls. People report hearing the rolling of imaginary trains, accompanied by faint coughing or cries, as if the spirits of those who passed through decades ago are repeating their last journey. Some claim to see shadowy figures walking the platform at night, disappearing when approached, leaving behind only an unnatural chill. Urban explorers have documented peeling paint, shattered windows, and benches covered in graffiti, but the most unnerving accounts involve auditory experiences. Recordings from inside the station often contain unexplained moans, whispers, and faint music, strains of piano notes, laughter, or hymns that seem to come from nowhere. Paranormal investigators believe that the station's proximity to the sanatorium, combined with the extreme suffering endured by patients, created a strong spiritual imprint that lingers to this day. The theory is that the train station acted as a liminal space, a gateway where the emotional energy of life, death, and fear became trapped, manifesting in paranormal activity long after the last train departed. Some visitors describe sudden feelings of nausea, dizziness, or overwhelming sadness, sensations that cannot be explained by physical decay alone. Even pets brought into the area often react violently, barking at empty corners or refusing to enter certain sections of the platform. Local legends suggest that during certain nights, one can hear the final whistle of the sanatorium train, followed by the sound of multiple footsteps pacing the platform, as if patients were lining up for a ride they would never take. The Waverly Hills Sanatorium station exemplifies how a place of transit can become a permanent haunt. Trains may have stopped running, and tracks may have rusted over, but the memories of suffering, hope, and death remain imprinted in the walls and platforms. For those brave enough to venture inside, the station is more than a historical relic. It is a direct connection to the lives, fears, and lingering spirits of the past, making it one of the most chilling abandoned train stations in America. The Glen Lyon Station, Scotland. Hidden deep within the misty valleys of Scotland lies the abandoned Glen Lyon train station, a place that was once the lifeline of a small mining community. Opened in the late 19th century, the station saw countless travelers, miners heading to work, families visiting relatives, and merchants transporting goods across the rugged highlands. But as mining declined and roads improved, the station slowly fell into disuse, and by the mid-20th century trains had stopped arriving entirely. Today, the station is shrouded in fog nearly year-round, giving it an ethereal, almost otherworldly presence. Locals speak of strange happenings long after the tracks rusted and the platform crumbled. Visitors report hearing the whistle of trains when none are in sight, accompanied by the faint clatter of wheels on tracks. Some say the station is haunted by the spirit of a station master who died in a tragic accident, forever trying to keep the schedules running even after death. Paranormal investigators who have explored Glen Lyon Station describe sudden drops in temperature, disembodied voices calling out passengers' names, and shadows darting across empty corridors. In some cases, cameras capture faint, misty figures standing at the platform as if waiting for a train that will never come. People who linger too long often feel an invisible pressure, as if unseen hands are trying to push them off the platform or guide them toward the tracks. The surrounding forest adds another layer to the mystery. Travelers often get lost near the station, even with maps and GPS, as if the landscape itself is rearranging around them. Legends say the station sits on an intersection of ley lines, channels of energy that amplify paranormal activity. Whether this is folklore or fact, the eerie feeling of Glen Lyon Station is undeniable. Even the wildlife avoids the area at night, leaving the station unnervingly silent except for the sound of the wind whispering through broken windows. What makes Glen Lyon particularly haunting is the combination of human tragedy and natural isolation. The accidents, deaths, and disappearances that occurred during its operational years seem to have left an imprint on the place, one that continues to interact with anyone who dares to enter. Every step on the cracked platform is a reminder of a past that refuses to rest, and for those who stand there long enough, it is as though the station is alive, silently observing the living as it did the travelers of a bygone era. St. Pancras Station, London, England. While St. Pancras Station is world famous for its stunning Victorian architecture, not all areas of the station have escaped the passage of time. Beneath the busy platforms and modern renovations lies a series of abandoned platforms and tunnels that have remained closed for decades, and these forgotten corridors are said to be some of the most haunted parts of London. During the late 1800s and early 1900s, St. Pancras Station was a hub of activity, connecting travelers from across England and Europe. Yet alongside the bustling crowds, there were tales of tragedy. Workers falling from platforms, passengers disappearing in the labyrinthine tunnels, and suicides that were hushed up to protect the station's reputation. Over time, parts of the station were sealed off, leaving the spaces eerily preserved, with the original brickwork, signage, and even benches untouched by modern restoration. Ghost sightings in St. Pancras abandoned areas are both numerous and consistent. Visitors and maintenance workers report seeing Victorian-era figures walking silently along platforms, often vanishing when approached. Some hear footsteps echoing in corridors where no one is present, while others hear faint whispers in languages long forgotten. Paranormal experts suggest the station is a hotspot for residual haunting, echoes of intense emotions from past tragedies lingering in the fabric of the building. One particularly chilling account involves a group of security workers who entered a disused tunnel during nighttime inspections. They described hearing a train approaching, complete with the roar of the engine and squealing brakes, but when they turned to look, the tracks were empty, and the sound abruptly stopped. Cameras later confirmed no trains had been scheduled in the area at the time, and yet the recording captured the auditory phenomenon clearly. St. Pancras abandoned areas have also been linked to inexplicable feelings of anxiety, sudden dizziness, and the sensation of being watched. Some researchers theorize that the architecture itself, the narrow tunnels, echoing chambers, and enclosed spaces, amplifies human perception of fear and creates a sense of paranormal presence. However, the consistency of reports spanning decades, from workers to urban explorers, suggests something beyond mere suggestion. The combination of architectural beauty, hidden corridors, and a history of tragedy makes St. Pancras abandoned sections a unique kind of haunting. Unlike isolated rural stations, it is situated in the heart of a living city, yet stepping into its sealed, off areas feels like stepping into a world frozen in time, where the lives of the past continue to echo in the silence. For those brave enough to explore, it is a stark reminder that even in one of the busiest cities on Earth, some ghosts never leave the tracks they once traveled. Aokigahara Station, Japan, nestled at the edge of the infamous Aokigahara Forest, better known as the Suicide Forest, lies a long-abandoned train station that has earned a reputation as one of the most unsettling places in Japan. Aokigahara Station, once a modest stop for tourists and hikers visiting the forest, has been closed for decades, yet stories of haunting persist. The station served as a gateway to the forest, a place of life and exploration, but over time it became associated with tragedy and death, much like the forest itself. Locals report that even years after the station's closure, the platform seems to exude an oppressive energy. Travelers who pass nearby claim to feel an inexplicable weight, a sense of sorrow and despair that hangs in the air like a thick fog. Paranormal investigators describe eerie sounds, footsteps echoing on the cracked wooden floors, doors creaking open and shut on their own, and faint, ghostly whispers repeating unintelligible words in Japanese. Some visitors have reported shadowy figures appearing at the end of the tracks, vanishing instantly when approached. Aokigahara Station's haunting is compounded by the history of the forest itself. The area has been the site of countless suicides, and cultural belief holds that spirits of those who died under tragic circumstances linger in both the forest and its surroundings. The station, being the final point of entry for many, seems to have absorbed this energy. Explorers report sudden cold spots on the platform, dizziness, and a feeling of being watched, even when completely alone. Cameras left unattended have captured faint silhouettes and orbs of light hovering in corners, where no natural source of illumination exists. Some investigators theorize that the forest's unique geological composition, lava rock rich in magnetite, could contribute to electronic anomalies, influencing both cameras and human perception. While this may explain some of the strange visual phenomena, it does not account for the overwhelming emotional weight visitors feel, as if the station itself remembers the despair of the lives connected to it. Aokigahara Station stands as a chilling reminder that some places are more than mere structures. They are vessels for human tragedy, resonating with the emotions of the past in ways that modern science struggles to explain. Matheran Hill Station, India. Far from the forests of Japan, high in the western Ghats of India, lies the abandoned Matheran Hill Station train platform, a place where beauty and dread exist side by side. Matheran, once a popular colonial-era hill station, relied heavily on its narrow gauge railway to bring travelers up winding mountain paths. The railway and its stations were vital for the tourism that supported the town, but over time, newer transportation routes and modernization rendered the station obsolete, leaving it to decay in the misty hills. The haunting history of Matheran Station is tied to both natural danger and human tragedy. The steep terrain made the railway prone to accidents, and over the decades, numerous workers and passengers lost their lives due to landslides, derailments, and falling debris. Locals recount tales of travelers disappearing near the platform, their screams echoing in the fog before silence returned. Even today, mist often rolls in from the mountains, enveloping the station and tracks in a ghostly shroud. Visitors describe an eerie stillness at the abandoned platform, broken only by the occasional rustle of the wind through overgrown foliage. At night, the station takes on a surreal quality. Moonlight filtering through shattered windows, shadows stretching across the cracked benches, and faint, indistinct murmurs drifting from the direction of the tracks. Some explorers report seeing apparitions of railway workers, carrying lanterns as if conducting maintenance on a train that will never arrive. Others speak of a phantom train whistle echoing across the valley, accompanied by the rhythmic clatter of invisible wheels on the track. Paranormal investigators have attempted to document the activity at Matheran Station. Audio recordings frequently capture strange static, low-frequency hums and whispers, while cameras pick up orbs and movement that cannot be explained by natural causes. Locals believe that the station is a spirit conduit, a place where human suffering and the treacherous nature of the surrounding hills have imprinted themselves on the physical environment. In this way, Matheran Station is not only abandoned in the literal sense, but is haunted by the cumulative energy of decades of accidents, loss, and fear. What makes Matheran Station particularly chilling is the combination of isolation, historical tragedy, and natural danger. The station sits on a mountainside where even today, landslides can occur with little warning, and yet explorers continue to risk the treacherous climb to witness the abandoned platform firsthand. Those who venture there often report a palpable sense of unease, as though unseen eyes are watching, and time itself feels distorted. Minutes stretch unnaturally long, shadows linger longer than they should, and the mist seems alive, moving in ways that defy the wind. Matheran Hill Station exemplifies how the haunting of a place is often intertwined with both human history and the natural environment. The station is a testament to the fragility of life in the face of danger, the lingering impact of tragedy, and the way memories, both human and environmental, can embed themselves in a location, creating a presence that refuses to leave even when trains have long since stopped running. Old Changi Railway Station, Singapore. Singapore's Old Changi Railway Station is one of the most famous haunted stations in Southeast Asia. Built in the 1930s, it once connected Changi to the rest of Singapore, serving both military and civilian trains. During World War II, it became a critical hub for the Japanese occupation, transporting soldiers and supplies. But it is the darker stories tied to this station that have cemented its reputation as one of the most haunted in the world. After the war, the station continued to operate for a few decades before being decommissioned in the 1990s. Since then, it has fallen into decay with overgrown tracks, crumbling platforms, and graffitic-covered walls. But the abandonment has not brought peace. Locals and urban explorers consistently report feeling an oppressive presence, hearing footsteps echo along empty corridors, and seeing unexplained shadows flit past broken windows. Some claim to see soldiers from the wartime era marching silently along the platform, disappearing when approached. The haunting is not just visual. Audio anomalies are frequently reported. Whispers, faint military orders, and even the sound of trains rolling across rusted tracks when no train is near. Paranormal investigators suggest residual hauntings from the wartime trauma, combined with the station's long history of violence, may have created a spiritual imprint on the site. One particularly chilling account involves a group of explorers who heard cries of pain, only to discover that the sound came from empty hallways. When they reviewed their recordings later, the voices were clearly audible, but no one was present at the time. Stories of ghostly apparitions are often linked to tragic deaths during wartime and accidents on the railway. Locals warn visitors that lingering too long can provoke feelings of dizziness, nausea, and overwhelming anxiety. Even wildlife seems to avoid the area, leaving the station unnervingly silent except for the wind and occasional rustle of overgrown foliage. For those daring enough to explore, the Old Changi Railway Station serves as a stark reminder that history, pain, and loss can leave a lingering presence that refuses to rest. Haggerston Station, London, England. Haggerston Station, located in the borough of Hackney, London, was opened in the 19th century as part of the North London Railway. It served commuters and local industry for decades, but eventually fell into disuse and was abandoned in the early 20th century, leaving behind empty platforms, brick archways, and tunnels that have long since been sealed off. Despite its modest size, Haggerston has gained notoriety as a site of unexplained phenomena and hauntings. Urban explorers and local residents report strange sightings and auditory anomalies within the station's abandoned tunnels and platforms. Shadowy figures appear to move along the tracks, often vanishing when approached. The walls themselves seem to hold whispers, with faint conversations and cries recorded on audio devices where no human presence exists. Some visitors report seeing figures in early 20th century attire, suggesting that the spirits of former passengers or railway workers remain trapped in the station. Several tragic incidents have fueled the station's haunted reputation. Accidents during construction, derailments, and fatal falls were relatively common in its operational years, and some believe the intense emotional energy of these deaths remains imprinted on the station. Paranormal investigators describe sudden cold spots, feelings of being watched, and inexplicable sounds that mimic the noises of trains and footsteps. Even during daylight hours, the station has an unnerving atmosphere. The interplay of shadows, decayed structures, and natural light creates illusions of movement, intensifying the sense of being observed. Local legends claim that Haggerston Station is a portal of sorts, a place where past tragedies bleed into the present. People who linger too long sometimes experience disorientation, losing track of time, or feeling compelled to leave suddenly. The station's location beneath overpasses and amidst abandoned industrial areas only adds to its eerie ambience, with sounds from nearby streets echoing strangely in the empty tunnels, often mistaken for the phantom sounds of trains long gone. Despite modern urban development surrounding it, the abandoned sections of Haggerston Station remain remarkably untouched, frozen in a state of decay. This preservation contributes to its haunting aura, making it one of London's most unnerving abandoned train stations. For visitors and explorers, it is not simply a historical curiosity. It is a place where the veil between past and present, life and death, seems unusually thin, and where the spirits of those who once walked its platforms may still linger, silently observing all who dare to enter. Canfranc International Railway Station, Spain. Deep in the Pyrenees Mountains of northern Spain lies the Canfranc International Railway Station, a sprawling and once grand station that now stands abandoned and partially in ruins. Opened in 1928, Canfranc was built to serve as a trans-Pyrenean hub, connecting Spain with France via a majestic train route. Its massive halls, grand chandeliers, and vast platforms gave the impression of a palace rather than a railway station. Yet behind its architectural beauty, the station has a dark, haunting history that continues to captivate paranormal enthusiasts. During its peak, Canfranc was the scene of numerous accidents and mysterious disappearances. The mountainous terrain made travel treacherous, especially during winter, and several workers and passengers perished on the tracks or in construction mishaps. During World War II, the station became a covert transit point for spies and refugees, introducing a layer of clandestine tension that has left a lingering impression on the location. Many claim that the stress, fear, and tragedies of those years are embedded in the walls, and that the abandoned station now carries a spiritual echo of past anguish. Explorers and ghost hunters report hearing faint footsteps echoing across the massive halls, even when no one is present. Lights appear to flicker inexplicably, and shadowy figures are often glimpsed moving among the ruins. Some visitors recount seeing apparitions in 1920s-era clothing,